Live from New York. It's the show that has had a change of heart. We're starting with the final rose. Eagles trounce the Rams in LA 37-20. Saquon runs for 255 and 2 touchdowns. Have you found love again? Is the question I came.
Well, if people didn't watch last week, I had narrowed it down to the Eagles or the Rams to replace the Bears, who I had to break up with because Matt Eberflus and Shane Waldron came between us.
Yeah.
As my NFC Super Bowl team. And I said, you know, the fairest way to do it is they're playing each other.
Sure.
Let the winner take it. And not only did the Eagles win the game, but they won it in, of course, resounding fashion. And what an amazing journey I've been on with this Philadelphia Eagles team. From before you guys were even on the show back in 2017 when the show first started and Carson Wentz went down, and I said they're 0% to win the Super Bowl, and they tweeted out that clip right before their championship parade. And then obviously a couple years ago, I didn't believe in them. I actually believed in the Brock Purdy-led Niners going into that NFC title game.
Lance, really.
Well, no, but going into the title game, it was Brock Purdy, and I believed in them.
He got hurt.
And last year, I saw the supernatural funk coming from a mile away, and so I thought it would continue, but it didn't. And this Eagles team is the team that, to be honest, Bruce said they could be. And I would love to give Brew credit because he did call this. We can show you the transformation year over year that occurred, where last season what they were in the ranks to where this season what they are in the ranks. I think we can show it to you. If we can't, Dusty, there it is. Where last year that defense was terrible, and this year this defense is spectacular. Last year the offense fell apart at the end of the year. This year it has been great, which is why I feel so comfortable and confident saying they are going to be the NFC Super Bowl representative. So let me do something I don't know if I've ever done. Drop a banner in non-sarcastic fashion for another team that's not the Chiefs, which is I'm officially the first things first Eagles guy. And nobody has been more of a...
How long did we work on this?
What are you talking about?
It's like American Beauty.
You don't mind when there's snow for your Mahomes Mountain intros. There can't be a few rose petals for... Yeah, this is a major announcement. And then I'll give you the ball. Then there is, of course, the man that made it all possible, Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, so
you're wearing his jersey.
I'm wearing his jersey
and
proudly.
His ring?
Who Chris Broussard had the foresight to call CMC-esque. But dare I say, he understated it, because if we show you what he's done this year, this isn't CMC-esque. This is Walter Payton-esque.
Yes.
This is Jim Brown-esque, which is why I can now sit here today and say through 12 weeks, through 11 games, Saquon Barkley is the MVP of the league.
Wow.
Which I don't know if Chris Broussard's going to say it or not, but I do think it will make me officially the first things first Saquon guy. I don't know how it happened.
I look salty.
Trust me, Wilds, I'm as shocked as the next guy. But for me to be the Eagles guy and the Saquon guy on this show after I had almost been, a burr in their saddle, so to speak, I didn't see it coming. But the heart wants what the heart wants, Chris Broussard, and this is... Now, feel free to join me. Feel free to say the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl and Saquon's the MVP.
I don't flip-flop.
Bro, you kind of left the take unguarded.
No.
You took a take for granted, and he scooped in.
He did not.
Exactly right.
The first half was
exactly
great.
Right.
You can have the Eagles. And I actually I picked them to win in the NFC East. You can have the Eagles, though. But I'll let the audience decide.
Okay.
People that watch this show know without the shadow of a doubt who the Saquon Barkley guy is on first thing. Because here's the video. If you think this little foolishness gonna get you Saquon, Dusty, the video. I'm looking at, is Saquon Barkley going to have a Christian McCaffrey type impact? Saquon's Christian McCaffrey-like impact on the Eagles. I literally saw a morning show today with that as a topic. As if I didn't say that 4 or 5 months ago. I was like, oh man, tomorrow, I'm not only going on the show and saying, yeah, I told you he could be Christian McCaffrey. I would say he's been better than Christian McCaffrey. You guys are my witnesses that long before other networks started saying he was going to look like Christian McCaffrey, I said it months ago.
I mean,
now, obviously.
Jersey,
if Saquon's watching and has to pick Johnny come lately sashaying up to him in the bar and wants him, or me who's been riding with him from day one and told you with all these weapons, with this offensive line, this dude's going to do something historic. But, Nick, look, I'm glad you found somebody. Okay. I'm glad you found somebody, the Eagles.
Yeah.
And while I will not give up Saquon, there's another Eagle I'll give up. And you guys can, have a great time together. Here we go. Dusty, the headline. That's your guy. I called it Friday.
Yeah.
Joined
that
the
is
thing.
true.
Look how excited Sirianni is.
Bro, you're right about this.
This guy used to hate me. Now I'm
And I think this is one of the reasons I find this so exhilarating, as I put it. It's so new and fresh for me to be rooting for a team that's poorly coached and executes game management badly. It's like a whole new experience. May I ask you one question?
Well, you were rooting for Eberflus.
Well, yeah, right. But as soon as I got used to that, I was out there. Is Saquon your MVP right now?
Right now, we will not do an official Bruise ballot, but yes.
Okay.
And here's why. I had Josh Allen last week, number 1, Saquon number 2. Saquon is on pace to break the league record for rushing.
Yep.
2,150 yards, which would be 45 yards more than Eric Dickerson. If you do that, I've got to give him the MVP. Now, Dickerson didn't win it.
No.
Dan Marino won it because he had
5,000
yards, 48 touchdowns in that era, which was ridiculous. And here's the thing, Josh Allen has been phenomenal. We all know that. But his numbers aren't great. Now, his impact is better than his numbers look, but 231 yards passing a game, a 98 passer rating, 18 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He's not in the top 5 in any quarterback categories. Mm-hmm. So if this continues, if they both continue to play this way and have essentially the same record, right now I go with Saquon. I do think, Nick, the only reason not to pick Saquon right now is quarterback bias.
Correct.
That is the only reason. And I do fear he probably has to get at least 2,000 yards to get it.
Well, he's still the odds maker says he's far behind Lamar right now.
So they play
he's fourth,
so Brew, Ravens play tonight, then they play the Eagles next Sunday.
Ravens and the Eagles.
Yeah, would that be a determining factor?
Wild's a big head.
I'm not a huge head-to-head guy.
It'll be a factor. It'll be a factor. It's very. All these guys,
but they can stop. We'll see if he can run on the Ravens and they decide not to throw on the Forest secondary. We'll see.
Can I add one other thing about the Eagles?
Then we have to go on to your. This is your girlfriend. I know. We got to move on to your wife.
Of course, exactly. So fun with the girlfriend. Here is one thing I do think, in all seriousness, the Eagles have going for them that has not been baked into the Vegas odds the way it should be. Their worst case scenario is the 2 seed, while Detroit can easily fall to the 5. So I know that sounds weird because that Philly could be the 2 seed with a worse record than Detroit, and Detroit be the 5.
Right.
Because the division, if you don't win your division, you fall. So Detroit right now is only a game ahead of Minnesota, and if you look at their 2 schedules side by side, it's like, oh wait. Minnesota, after we thought they were kind of falling apart a bit with the 2-game losing streak, again, I think we have the schedule, but if not, you can take my word for it. Detroit has what I would consider more losable games than Minnesota, so you could see a scenario when Detroit's got Packers, Bills, Bears, Niners, that going into that final week of the year against the Vikings, that's for not just for the division, but for the 1/2 seed, and then the loser falls to the 5. Meanwhile, Philly is going to win that division, and neither the West nor the South are going to catch them. So they're alive for the 1, but they're kind of locked in a floor of the 2 seed because of the situation in the NFC North. I think that really plays in their favor. The Lions are in right now the best shape, but that can flip so quickly, and then all of a sudden Goff is outdoors, repeated the whole postseason.
He hasn't lost. He hasn't
no,
lost
I understand.
I know, but you don't want him. They did go into Lambeau,
yeah,
but
you understand what I'm saying, yeah.
Well, we'll find out. In all those games they play, you'll find out how he is outside.
For sure.
Let's move on to the Chiefs, your first love. They barely win again. Victorious over the Panthers, who are not that good, although Bryce did play pretty well. Game tied at 27. Mahomes.
Panthers were red hot.
Breaks out the good plays, as you like to say. Scampers for 33 yards, setting up the game-winning field goal. Here he is after the game, agreeing with me and Brew. Thank you. Brew, that's what we've been saying.
Yeah, exactly what we've been saying.
Good
to hear it from.
Yeah, thank you. Were you worried at all?
No. This was, and I think you guys might even agree with me, a fake close game. And by that I mean this. If the opposing team never once has the ball with a chance to take the lead in the second half, the game's not actually close. To me, it felt like the second half of the Ravens AFC title game, where they never once, it was like, oh, if they score, they take the lead. In that Ravens game, it was 10. They never got within 10 with the ball. This game, they never got within 8. So I understand that a field goal at the gun is by definition close, but you asked if I was scared. The Chiefs were never in jeopardy, to me, of losing the lead. Had they been up 7 when the Panthers scored, it is different, because the Panthers definitely would have gone for 2 and gone for the win, but they were up 8. So this is, to me, what is frustrating about not frustrating, but interesting about the Chiefs commentary. For them to be discussed in any context other than not only the team to beat, but the clear-cut favorite and best team in the league, we have to consistently pretend things that didn't happen did happen. We have to pretend that, well, they didn't. What if they didn't win the Super Bowl last year, as Bruce said yesterday? What if they actually lost any of these games that people fret about, but they don't? What if Mahomes didn't win an MVP without Tyreek Hill? What if they didn't win yesterday's game, but they did? And as you said correctly, they do have this amazing knack for breaking out the good plays. And Patrick Mahomes, the best player in the league, has this. It's almost like Mahomes has opportunities for back-breaking scrambles. We can run the play multiple times, but it's like, we're going to work on other things because when I have to, I can. And maybe once it's a coincidence, twice it's a coincidence. When it's 7 years of his career, and it's 20 times we've seen that run only happen in the fourth quarter or overtime of the Super Bowl or the final drive of the Super Bowl against my beloved Eagles. At some point, you're going to have to believe that that is part of the plan. So I will drop a banner for the team that invented them, the Chiefs, which is, as always, saving the good plays for when it matters. That final drive, the same thing they did against Buffalo. Now against Buffalo, they couldn't get the stop, but in their final real offensive drive, that is what it is. So no, I'm not concerned. And I said, how many points all week did I say the Chiefs were going to win by? I said 4. I said they're going to win by 4. I apologize, I was wrong. They won by 3. But no, I'm not concerned.
I'll toss it to you, Brew, but I find it strange that with under 2 minutes against the Carolina Panthers, that all of a sudden matters. I think Mahomes, I wish that didn't matter so much, but I do understand the rationale.
I think, look, Mahomes, like you said, he wants blowouts. All right, they were trying to win, but I just think it's interesting because the last 2 games, it's been the defense that's been the problem.
Yeah.
Which the defense have been great, and I just think that there is some complacency with the Chiefs. Now, one of the good things for the Chiefs, the positive note, and we've all been saying we want to see Mahomes, we want to see Mahomes. Well, he's getting back. He's not quite what he used to be, obviously, but he's getting back there. Look at these numbers since DeAndre Hopkins joined the team. 5 games he's played with D-Hop, and I think we have the graphic coming up. But you see, so the completion percentage, 71%. Yards per game is almost 280 yards a game, 12 touchdowns, and only 3 picks. Passer rating, you see what it is. That 12 touchdown, 3 interception pace, like over 5 games, over 17 games, that's 41 touchdowns and 10 interceptions.
Yeah, very good.
That's the same as, and the passer rating, that's the same as his MVP year a couple years ago. So while, again, it's not quite what it was a couple years ago, he's clearly playing better. Remember, it was like 20 games he had gone without throwing 3 touchdowns.
And now he's done it.
Now he's done it 3 times in the last 5 games.
Yeah. Good.
And like I said, I'm not worried about the defense, even though they've given up a lot of points the last 2 weeks. I just think, honestly, they're complacent, and it's human nature to take the Panthers lightly. And they went out there, and when they had to win it, they won it.
Everyone else usually smashes the Panthers, though. Like in the course of this year, Caleb got this win, but it's like, it's over against the Panthers.
Right.
You don't think the Panthers have been a more competitive team the
but
last few weeks?
No, I also think it's a little bit of a combination of what Brew is saying, that maybe the Chiefs take the Panthers lightly. It's every team's Super Bowl, like you were saying, and there's a little bit of let's practice stuff. This is lowest point differential of eventual Super Bowl champs, so like just extend it all the way. It's both of Eli's teams. And then the Joe Flacco Ravens, which were really a
right. But the Chiefs are going to blow past this number.
I hope so.
Well, I mean, do you think they're going to lose most of their games the rest of the way?
52.
No, I think they're going to. But if you're saying you had them losing 2 more, right?
Okay, so if they
they win a few. So if they lose a game by,
you even think that at this point?
I said 14-3 before the year. Right now, if I had to pick, I would say 15-2. But
if they beat the Raiders by 3, which seems
if they
crazy.
beat everyone by 3, they'll be up to almost plus 70. Is my point. Like
I don't know.
Remember, it's 17 games now.
But here's the other reason I'm frustrated by the commentary. There is no precedent for what they're trying to do. The last team to win back-to-back, the year they were going for a three-peat, was the single worst year of the Patriot era with a healthy Tom Brady. They went 10-6. I guess the year the 02, they went 9-7, missed the playoffs. But once they were really starting they went 10-6. The only team to ever come close to a three-peat, the 1990 San Francisco 49ers. They also started 10-1. They had 7 victories by 4 or fewer points, and right in the middle of the year, they needed a field goal at the final play of the game or late in the fourth quarter to beat a team that won 3 games. They won their first game of the year by a single point. The idea that there is, the actual great teams trying to do this look a certain way. There is no team that's tried to do it or that has successfully done it. And if we can show the DeAndre Hopkins usage is, to me, more evidence that this team is just playing a different game than the other people. Do we think DeAndre Hopkins is better than Justin Watson? I do.
Yeah.
He had fewer snaps than Justin Watson yesterday, as well as, obviously his first game. So why would those numbers be there? Do we think he's not in shape? No, he was playing for the Titans. And my honest answer is because they give up a 5th-round pick instead of a 4th-round pick if that number stays below 60. And so they're playing multiple games at once, because Hopkins win targeted 22 of 27, 233 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, a 140 rating. It's been unbelievable, and they are keeping him fresh, protecting their draft pick, in my opinion, doing a lot of things. The biggest weakness on the team right now is left tackle.
Yep.
They just signed DJ Humphries, who was a Pro Bowler a few years ago, who would have been in the league, but he was coming off an ACL. They have Pacheco coming back maybe this week. They have Minahu coming back maybe this week. It was reported that Hollywood Brown is going to be back during the regular season.
Nice.
All these things are happening while they're 10-1.
I think with the commentary, a big part of it is just people know how good they are, and you're nitpicking. Now, I will say this. If they hadn't won it last year, I'd be killing them. I'd be thinking they looked like the Eagles last year when they were 10-1 and then went into the funk. I would think that was coming. But the fact that they won it last year when they looked way worse than this, you got to give them the benefit of the doubt.
And I just don't – I said this last year, and it annoyed Wilds. Then they won the Super Bowl. At some point, the league's got to realize their games are the Chiefs' practices.
I don't agree with that, though.
He got sacked.
I don't think Mahomes
five
says,
times.
Right.
Yeah,
Right, which is why they signed the new left tackle, because that spot hasn't been working. They drafted a kid who wasn't ready to play. The guy who was supposed to be the backup's now their starter, and now they have a reinforcement coming in.
Jersey.
But Mahomes clearly wants to
stop hitting.
I mean, Mahomes.
I mean, he said himself he wants to see some blowouts.
I mean, the offense scored 30 points. Like, you're right that the last 2 weeks are the most and second most points the defense has allowed since the Eagles Super Bowl. So, like, the defense is softening a bit. But the other big prediction I had last week was Chris Jones might have 0 tackles in this game. He finished the game with 0 tackles, 0 sacks, 0 quarterback hits. Because they're just not going to be locked in 100% for every game.
Yeah.
All right, we got more roses.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.